What were your first impressions of playing at TD Garden as a Boston Celtic?
No, it's every time I came to play here, I enjoyed the environment, and obviously the fans are top level fans, and so it's always been a arena that I've looked forward to playing in, and I always thought it was a good shooting gym for me. So I feel like it's the same thing. Great shooting gym for sure.
Shouting out the fans, always going to help endear you, obviously, to a new community. Celtics win! Celtics win! Woo! What's that, Chris Boucher, like mean mugging or something? I don't know what he's doing. Hey, you know what? We'll take it. With Ountae, Campbell, Adam Kaufman, welcome in, Nessa Nation. This is Hold My Banner. Celtics, another preseason game under their belts. They got just the one more as we sit here. It is tomorrow against Toronto. And then, most importantly, Ountae, 1 week from tomorrow is the first game of the regular season at the Garden against those already injury-plagued Sixers. I know that we're with you a couple of times this week. We'll have plenty of time to fully react to the preseason, look ahead to the regular season, give you any other leftover bold predictions. But one of the ones that I've already shouted out on this program, the dude we just heard from, your sixth man of the year, Anfernee Simons. I'll tell you what. Don't make that face. 138-107 home win in the dress rehearsal game against the Cavs. Thing is, Ountae, it was a dress rehearsal for the Celtics. Everybody played. The Cavs, not so much. You were missing Donovan Mitchell, Darius Garland, Jared Allen, Evan Mobley, DeAndre Hunter, Lonzo Ball,
like you've done
Max
this before
Strus,
already.
Sam
Didn't
Merrill.
we do this with Memphis the last time?
I mean, at least the Celtics sat some guys in that game. This time around, blowout in writing, blowout in blood. It was expected because, again, Celtics had everyone, Cavs had nobody. But there are things to react to, and we'll let you take a look at just Anfernee Simons getting his feet under him at the Garden and all of that. He was good. I think there's reason to be excited about Simons. 21 points, that led the team, by the way. 6 of 9 from three-point range. He played 25 minutes. And I saw all over my social media feed, you'd think, you make the face at bold prediction. I saw people on my Twitter going, Baby Dame? Is this Baby Damian Lillard?
I got some film to show from him warming up, and he looked like Baby Dame for me, for sure. In this game, he was
Mark Wahlberg
getting
in the house.
Getting some shine, obviously. He was out there recording a movie. I think he's getting ready
for a movie. Yeah, we'll get there.
We'll get there eventually. But Anfernee Simons was at this game, and he just looked fantastic. He looked like he was ready to go from the jump. In watching the warm-ups, what I took from his game immediately is that the Celtics are just going to let him rock. Like, he was shooting a lot of mid-range jumpers in his warm-up tape. And you can say, it's warm-ups. He's just trying to fill it out. Obviously, you want to build up the range. You don't want to just start out jacking shots. But, I saw Sam Hauser come in, and immediately after working on ball handling, almost cold, like he's getting ready to come off the bench, which he's done for most of his career as a Boston Celtic. He just went straight from that to jacking up threes. And he made a three in every spot. And then I saw guys like Neemias Queta working on guarding guards on the perimeter. I saw dudes like Luka Garza working on getting offensive rebounds. So a lot of these dudes are working on the reps that they're going to get in the game. So, I want to take it and say, seeing Anfernee Simons out there shooting mid-range jumpers, seeing him in the workout spot that Jason Tatum usually has right next to Jaylen Brown, was a really good sign for your bet, but also Celtics fans and how much his involvement in the offensive end will be with this team this year.
Yeah, look, again, bold predictions are bold for a reason. Do I really expect Anfernee Simons to be the NBA Sixth Man of the Year and the Celtics to get this award for the third time in 4 years? Probably not. But what I will say, Ountae, is what we saw was the recipe, right? It was the high-volume shooting from three-point range, getting his openings, letting him kind of ball out to the degree that you talked about, and letting him run that second unit, being your spark plug, occasionally leading the team in scoring, the 21 points, and serviceable defense. Not great, not bad. Serviceable defense to keep him on the floor.
Yeah, he's guarding some G League guys out there,
you
know what I mean? But serviceable for sure. I think the biggest thing that I noticed about his minutes and then at Payton Pritchard's minutes, at least in that game, every game is going to be different. We'll hear later from Joe about how he's going to change up lineups and stuff like that, but every game is going to look a little different for this Boston Celtics team. And you saw a lot of Derek White at point guard, even with Payton Pritchard on the floor, even with Anfernee Simons on the floor, and then even once Anfernee Simons and Payton Pritchard got the moments that they got to play together, together, you saw more Payton Pritchard running the point than you did Anfernee Simons. So, it's interesting to see him kind of play more of a two guard because he's obviously been a point guard and played at that Damian Lillard level, or I won't say level, but the likeness of Damian Lillard throughout his point guard play. But it'll be exciting to see how Joe figures out who he is in this team.
Derek White does have a knack for filling out the box score, though. And again, I know they were playing scrubs, and I know they didn't play a whole bunch. Like Whitey only played 22 minutes. That was the case for most of these guys who are starting level players for Boston, obviously. 16 points. He had all his free throws. He went 6 of 6. Take the freebies. You love it. 7 rebounds, 5 assists, 3 blocks because, again,
best shot blocking guard.
Yeah, it's not even
He's
close.
He's like Dwayne Wade with that regard.
Do we? There's no lack of exposure to Derek White. There's the Sam Adams commercials. He's got the White Noise podcast. Fans love him, and we celebrate him whenever we're talking about Brad Stevens finding those diamond in the rough type players, like maybe a Josh Minot. We'll get into him a little bit more. Just the more we talk about Derek White, though, I can't help but kind of occasionally think or ask myself, is it possible to any realm that we underrate this guy? Do we underrate his value, his contributions, what he brings to this team, especially in the absence of Jason Tatum for, the couple of weeks he's going to be out? Yes, we do underrate him in that realm. It'll be interesting because we haven't really got a real dress rehearsal yet, like you were talking about. We haven't seen them. I don't think we're
their A team against their another team's A team.
And these guys probably aren't even going to play tomorrow.
Right. The Raptors guys aren't going to play. The Celtics guys probably aren't going to play. We're probably going to get bench guys who are figuring out whether they're going to be a G League guy or bottom of the roster guy for their two teams.
Yeah.
So we're probably not going to get that, which means I don't really know how to evaluate what I'm seeing from Derek White right now. You know what I mean? Is he actually going to be able to really stand out? Because it was great for him to stand out when Jason Tatum wasn't playing well. But Jason Tatum's still out there. He has gravity. You know what I mean? Or when Jaylen Brown wasn't playing well. But they were out there. They have gravity. People are attracted to them. They could go 0 for 10 like we're watching Shohei Ohtani go 1 for 19 and still getting walked. You know what I mean? It's a
reputation.
It's in the same light. People are going to respect you based off of what you've done in the past. And those dudes command that kind of respect. What is Derek White going to do? The same questions that I've asked you about. What is Payton Pritchard going to do?
Sure.
What is Sam Hauser going to do? Kata, any of these guys going to do when, okay, Jaylen Brown's out the game. Now all 5 defenders are focused on you, Derek White.
Right.
All 5 are, at least 2 guys are focused on you, Derek White. 2 guys are focused on you, Payton Pritchard. What are you guys going to do in those moments? We haven't seen it, so I have no idea what to expect out of that.
How often is D. White compared to goats like a Shohei Ohtani? I love that. One thing in that game, and again, we're just looking for little things, right? Little things to just kind of grab onto and hope that they stick. And one thing that I talked about with you last week that I love to see is it actually, before my eyes was playmaker Jaylen Brown.
Yes.
I want more and more of playmaker Jaylen Brown. In this last game, 8 points, that's it. He was more differential. 6 assists, 5 rebounds, 3 steals in his 22 minutes. But the thing, circled with a bullet, highlight it, star it, do whatever you got to do, the 6 dimes out of Jaylen Brown. He is gradually, and I mean very slowly, elevated his assists per game throughout his career. Last year takes a huge step forward, 4.5 per, and I want to see that number up over 5 here this coming season. We've gotten into that, but we heard Brown talk about it after this last game.
Jaylen, you kind of started slow last night. You kind of trying to get other guys involved. Was that part of just trying to get your teammates involved, or was that just the flow of the game thing?
Just the flow of the game. That was our first time kind of playing with the whole group. So just trying to figure out our spots in our offense and trying to figuring all the pieces out together. Like I said, it's going to take some time, to find a rhythm and when to go, when not to go, where guys are supposed to be, where they're not supposed to be. And right now we're in that process of trying to figure it out.
There have been all sorts of people, including you, talking about, is Jaylen Brown in the MVP conversation at the end of the year? Is Jaylen Brown going to average 28, 30 points per game, be top 5 in the league in scoring, all that stuff? And I'm not going to sit here and say those things are impossible.
Yeah.
But this version, not 8 points, I know that's not going to happen.
Right.
But this version of Jaylen Brown, where he's prioritizing his other guys and creating scoring more so than he's worrying about himself. I love to see from a growth standpoint for him and also stylistically for the way this team can be successful.
It's Jaylen Brown being exactly what he's always been for this Boston Celtics team. He's been the guy that mends and bends to whatever the Boston Celtics need to do to win. And when he came out in that game, he saw, some opportunities to get his teammates involved and watching the flow of the game. And he's the mature enough guy to be like, I came out last game and scored and attacked. And this Cavs team knows exactly how good I am. And Payton Pritchard's open, you know what I mean? And Payton Pritchard was knocking down the shots, and Derek White's open, and he was knocking down the shots too in the first quarter. So, coming out and seeing him do those things is very impressive from him, but I am a little nervous about the turnovers. Seeing the turnovers for him, seeing even the turnovers for D. White, those guys having 4 and 3 turnovers with 6 and 5 assists, that's not the greatest, assist to turnover ratio. That you wouldn't call that point guard-esque. We're not talking about a Tyrese Halliburton situation here from those two. So, I would like to see them to continue to take leaps forward, especially when you're playing against, the Cavs. I won't even call it B team, C team. At that point, I would like to see them to take care of the ball just a little bit more, but I do understand that they're getting used to a lot of these new guys. So it'll be a little bit better than what we saw, but, I don't expect it to be much better.
Yeah, I mean, can we take anything from a win over the Cavs where their best player is like Dean Wade? No,
Right.
Obviously, and that's fine. We don't need to.
Right.
Would have been nice if it was good competition, and it was a true dress rehearsal game like, the NFL's third preseason game used to be back when they played 4. Instead, It's teams just sort of fiddling around, deciding what they're evaluating, like you said, who's in the G League, everybody's a little bit different. Payton Pritchard, he goes for 12 of the first 16 points for the Celtics, finished with 14. He's out of there by halftime.
Right.
And, we've on and off throughout the offseason had this Pritchard versus Simons kind of debate. Who starts? Who leads the second unit? Pritchard has been a successful, obviously, 6th man of the year, reigning. Simons, at points in Portland, a successful starter. But how are they going to be used here? And how does Mazzulla see these guys, best helping this team? And I just don't think they're in competition with one another.
No.
They have different strengths. They have different assets, different styles of play. And most importantly, the guy who's making the decision, Joe Mazzulla, knows exactly who they are and how he wants to use them. Is it a foregone conclusion at this point to you that Pritchard is starting at point for this team?
I would say yes. And based off of like what we've seen through 3 preseason games, what we've heard coming out of training camp and seeing coming out of training camp with this team is Payton Pritchard is has been the guy that's been starting for this team. And even when coming off the bench, you didn't really see a lot of ball handling opportunities for Anfernee Simons. Not a lot of pick and roll, not a lot of the things that we saw him do at point guard in Portland. He hasn't really gotten those opportunities, but you could also say he hasn't really had a pick and roll big like he had in Portland to help him out there with that case. Keita hasn't been playing a lot of minutes in these preseason games for whatever reason that may be, So maybe throughout the season, Keita's minutes start to tick up as he starts to progress and get a little bit better. Maybe that does mean you see more Anfernee Simons running that pick and roll, because I do think he is just slightly better at running pick and roll than Payton Pritchard is. And if you are going to go with more of a pick and roll style of offense, because you would need to do that with Keita out there on the floor, you might lean more towards having Anfernee Simons, which means that he could be in the starting lineup over Payton Pritchard. But once again, we're going to see a lot of different lineups.
Josh Minot has been just a kind of a revelation. I don't want to overemphasize his importance or what he has done the first few games, but I think he came in as a guy that was really, to a Celtics fan base, kind of unknown, right? I mean, not a dude who had a big role, obviously, in his couple of years with Minnesota, and that's not to say he's definitely going to have a big role here. Big role means, you're in that top 6.
Right.
But if we're looking at top 8, I do think that Minot is a piece at that point. He is incredibly athletic. He's frenetic. He's frisky. He's high energy. And there just aren't a lot of guys at wing or in general for this team that fit that makeup.
Right. I mean, he's coming in and he's one of those guys that are taking minutes. So he's not just earning them, he's taking them by storm. He's coming in with all the energy that you're talking about. I love seeing in game one him getting on offensive glass immediately and getting a putback. That was nice to see. Then when you're watching these games, he's always everywhere on defense. He's getting his hand on every ball. He's windmilling. When's the last time you've seen a Celtics player going out on a fast break and getting a little flashy? You know what I'm saying? He's bringing that young energy, but he's also making the plays. What I love to see from him is to shy away a little bit from the three-point shooting right now. I think that takes away from how great he is as a slasher. I think that takes away from how smart he actually is as a playmaker. He's not the best playmaker of all time, but he can get downhill, especially on the closeout, and make the extra pass and get his teammates rolling in that way. Him taking the wide open later in the clock, no problems with that. But the ones that are early in the clock, maybe slightly contested, all of those, especially after he made one. He made the first one the other night, and then he felt good about himself, so he started taking a couple ones after that. I'm like, hey, man, slow it down just a little bit and let the offense develop, especially as this team is trying to come together. But I absolutely love him. I think he's going to be a crowd favorite here.
3 preseason games for the Celtics so far. They have out-rebounded their opponents in all 3. However, level of competition on the other side should be noted.
Yes.
And also, and I know you'll build upon this,
Yes.
there's just a lot of people, and you're on the list, you might be the president of the fan club here, that are panicked by the way the team is looking on the glass, despite what maybe just blindly reading the box score might tell you.
Yeah, I mean, you know, I'll talk to you more about it when we talk about this Raptors game coming up. But, you know, obviously watching this Cavs game and seeing 21 offensive rebounds going down for this Cavs team without a Jared Allen, without an Evan Mobley, you have to wonder, you know, what that's going to look like, because Thomas Bryant and Larry Nance are the guys who are destroying us on the offensive glass. That's a problem. And obviously hearing Joe talk about the fact that he's pulling guys because they're not, you know, getting the offensive rebounds and deciding, hey, Luka Garza's coming out quick, Kata's coming out quick because you gave up an offensive rebound. That tells you that a coach, I've only been in the situations where if a coach is doing that, he's very nervous about your your defensive rebounding ability. So it is should not only be a worry of guys like me. Clearly, it's a worry of guys like Joe, so it should be a worry for all of Celtics fan base.
It's just an appetizer of what's to come as we get into preseason game number 4, the final one tomorrow against the Raptors. And then after that, regular season is on tap. Real basketball is on the way. Outcome of this final one, doesn't matter. You win, you lose. Stay healthy.
That's it.
Trying to determine some roles. What's the starting group going to look like? Is it going to change regularly? We'll find out from the coach. We'll be back. It's Hold My Banner here on Nesson Nation.
Again, listen, like we could start a different lineup all 82 games, right? So I urge you not to get caught up in like, oh, this guy started tonight. Like, I mean, like I said, we have depth to be able to do a lot of different things and be chaotically structured in what we're trying to do. And so at the end of the day, we're going to go with what gives us an opportunity to have that chaotic structure and put us in position to give us a chance to win every single night. So it was a good start, on that, but at the same time, we just have to continue to get better and learn new things. So, guys like Chris, Josh, X, all those guys are going to be playing the 4, playing the 5, playing all these different things, and we have to quickly be able to do it, to execute on both ends of the floor. So continuing to get better at that.
Celtics head coach Joe Mazzulla, and shout out Jay King in the background from The Athletic, who's been on here on Hold My Banner on Nesson Nation before. Thanks for being back with us here. So, look, everything Joe said makes sense, and he's pretty consistent in the way that he talks about a lot of these things. I think if you're out there paying attention to that latest game where the Cavs mailed it in from tip-off,
right,
the Celtics trying to really determine some things to the extent that they, what do they have, 12 guys play inside the first 13 minutes or something like that? I mean, Joe was just running dudes out, getting, pissed for one reason or subbing a guy for another reason, and trying to obviously just find something that worked in a game that doesn't matter to us necessarily, but absolutely does to him. What'd you take from him in terms of any level of predictability that we have for this season around that starting group?
I think we're going to see the best 5 guys who can go out and get rebounds. I think that is, when he says that, he means that. Like, he wants to get guys who are going to, because rebound has always been an issue for this Boston Celtics team. It was something that, going back to last year and even the year that they won the championship, we were wondering, like, can a lineup with Porzingis in rebound at the level that it needs to? Are they physical enough? Can they do these type of things, right? Even to the point where I told you I was a proponent of fighting. Like, I was excited when I saw Boucher in the first game ready to scrap up because you wanted to see some toughness out of this Boston Celtics team. So I think Joe is really, really going to be high on, hey, man, whoever's out there getting us the best opportunity. Like you said, they've won the rebounding battle, but can they win the rebounding battle when they're not turning the basketball over 85 times, when the other team isn't missing 70% of their shots? Can they still win the rebounding battle? It's easy to win the rebounding battle when you're making shots and the other team isn't, right? But it's hard to do that when the other team's shooting just as well as you are. And then on top of that, you're giving them opportunity after opportunity after opportunity. Once again, 21. Adam, I don't think you understand how crazy that is. 21 offensive rebounds for the G League Cavs.
That's bad. You got like an Angel Reese me-bound situation out there on the floor.
I could have went out there. I was looking at that game and I was like, man, like Craig Porter's getting a rebound. I could go get an offensive rebound. Like, who can't go get an offensive rebound against this Boston Celtics team? And 100% healthy as constructed. Obviously, no Jason Tatum. But, like, this is a team that we got. And they're out there all playing, and you're just seeing ball getting tipped out. Guys like Anfernee Simons being a little bit afraid to stick his nose in there. It's preseason.
Yeah.
I'll give you that. But, you know, this is where you got to find out who is the dogs. I can tell you this. I know Joe's a psycho, and I've seen psycho coaches. I've had psycho coaches in college and everything like that as well. I can guarantee you this. Joe's probably going to have practices where they put what you call a bubble above the rim so that the shot cannot go in the basket. And you're just going to see dudes putting the forearm into somebody's chest over and over and over and over. I feel like Marshawn Lynch, over and over again. And that's just going to be practice today because you have to be able to rebound at a high level in this league, especially in the Eastern Conference when you're going to be seeing lineups of Giannis and Miles Turner. You're going to be seeing lineups of Evan Mobley and Jared Allen.
Right.
You're going to be seeing lineups of Cat and Mitchell Robinson. These are 7-footers, guys who are known for getting rebounds and being aggressive to go get them. And you're going to have to find a way to deal with that with Luka Garza and Chris Boucher. That's scary times. So if these guards are not going to be rebounding, then Payton Pritchard, you're coming out of the starting lineup. We're going to see it, Anfernee Simons. If Jaylen Brown's not rebounding, you might even see him come out of the lineup. It's going to be desperation out of this coaching staff, and it starts from their head coach with Joe Mazzulla.
I know we're supposed to be kind of looking ahead at this final preseason game, but I'm going to step beyond that because I think that, you know, there's probably not, again, more important to the coaching staff, some of these players. For you and I, there's not a whole lot we can learn from it.
Right.
Let's build upon what you're talking about because we're going to find out about this rebounding issue, about this terrible on paper front court very early on in the regular season.
Yeah.
Listen to the stretch of games to take you through the beginning of November.
Uh-oh.
Okay?
Talk to me.
Philadelphia, let's just presume for fun that Joel Embiid is out there.
I mean, it's the first game of the season. You would hope.
Yeah, let's hope.
But he's not going to be.
So you got Embiid on the other side.
Yes.
And then you got a 3-game trip. At New York, Towns. At Detroit, Duren.
Yep.
At New Orleans, Zion. You're back home against Cleveland, where this time you're going to have Mobley and Allen.
Yes.
Presumably. Then Halloween, you're in Philadelphia, Embiid again, maybe.
Probably not.
To begin November, Houston, Şengün.
Yeah.
And then you've got Utah, Kessler, Nurkic, all these right in a row to start off the regular season. I mean, honestly, like if you're projecting ahead, I don't want to instill panic in people, but if you're projecting ahead, how ugly is this going to look on the glass for this stretch of like 10 games or however many I named?
It's going to be very ugly. And once again, playing against those Cavs team, I think we'll be fine with the 76ers. I mean, they'll take care of themselves. But, you know, when you look at those Cavs teams, it could be where, especially after they just, you know how coaches are, they're using anything as ammo. They're going in there, putting on the bulletin board, oh, yeah, the last time we played the Boston Celtics, they beat us 138-107. They're putting that up there. You know what I mean? Atkinson's going in there and being like,
Mitchell just walk around, not me.
You're right.
Didn't be me.
Right, but they're gonna do whatever they can to try to get them, you know what I mean, and say, oh, well, Boucher was talking smack, like, you know what I'm saying? Because of course, some guy was out there saying a little something, chirping a little bit. That's happening, even in a preseason game. So, you know, he's gonna do whatever he can, and all of those Boston Celtics games, every single time the Cavs played the Celtics last year, it felt like a championship level game. I mean, the crowd showed up in both places, right? Here in Cleveland, or excuse me, there in Cleveland or here in Boston. You know the energy is going to be in that building. You know dudes are going to want to come out and punk them. They still feel like, NBA players remember, they know what champions feel like. They still feel like the Boston Celtics are champions. They still feel like they're trying to go and attack them and take them off the list. It's always going to feel like that when you play the team that has the most championships in the league. So it's going to be very, very ugly, in my opinion, at least, to start. You know what I mean? Will they split? Will they win games? Will they escape because they have the talent to do so? Yes, but are there going to be quarters where you're like, oh my God, can you just get a rebound? Absolutely.
So this final preseason game, we don't know officially. This is just my opinion. This is me speculating. Brown, White, Pritchard, Hauser, Simons, some collection of that group of five, maybe all five, are going to be sitting out of this game.
Probably.
So in terms of the guys who actually are having to prove something, working towards something, trying to have a skill set identified by the coaching staff, whatever it may be, who's got something to prove in your eyes?
Oh, man. I mean, I think Jordan Wall still has something to prove.
Yeah.
I think he has a lot to prove, especially the way Minot's been playing. You know, he sat out of that game the other night at TD Garden. I want to see if he can come in and bring that energy, do a lot of the things that we're asking for, rebounding, all of this other stuff, being physical, playing defense, being able to switch out, cover other people's mistakes. He's got to be able to do that. Another guy in the same vein, and it's funny that I'm talking about all these forwards because, you know, it's a lot of the stuff that Jason Tatum used to do for this team, but it's true. Baylor Shireman. Baylor Shireman has a lot to prove in this final preseason game. Like, can you go out there and make a shot, dude? Can you go out there and be a positive impact towards this team? Because you haven't really been able to do that. We didn't see it in the summer league. We haven't seen it in the preseason yet. It's been a lot of ugly basketball for him. So can he do that? You know what I wanted to say? The last thing I want to say, and I'll get off my high horse about this rebounding situation.
Stay on the soapbox. It's all good.
Is that I was, you know, going through and I was watching, obviously, some baseball last night, which is why you got the Shohei Ohtani a little bit earlier. And, you know, I was watching some preseason basketball, watching some League Pass stuff. And I'm like, oh, let me check in on Atlanta Hawks, see how they're doing, whatever. I'm just curious, right? And I'm watching, and I'm like, that guy looks familiar over there. Bassie? Oh, yeah, he used to be on our summer league team.
Yeah.
How's he doing tonight? 17 rebounds and
I love
5
Bassie,
blocks.
man. I wanted them to sign Bassie.
17
the second they
rebounds.
signed him and we saw him in those first couple preseason games, give me Bassie over Garza. Honestly, they've had very comparable NBA careers to this point in time. Very comparable.
Yeah.
In fact, I think they were drafted like back-to-back.
Right.
That was the dude. 17.
And that brings me to my last point. The last guy that needs to prove a lot and probably will get minutes in this game, Keita. Like, we were all really excited, you know what I mean? Especially after watching him in Euro Cup and seeing the aggressiveness that he was playing with there and his ability to block shots there and rebound there and all this other stuff. I mean, he played 7 minutes in that last preseason game, and like didn't switch on the guards very well, and he looked slow-footed, and you know he wasn't aggressive to go get rebounds. I believe he had 4. I'm looking at it right here, 4 rebounds in 7 minutes, which is decent. You know, it's not bad, but you know when you're playing against the G League Cavs, you would like to see a little bit more than that, right? So, will he continue to rise? That's what he needs to prove in this last preseason game. Those 3 guys for sure have a lot to prove.
So the turnover issue it's been just that. It's been an issue. I mean, you had 21 last time out with your guys, your actual guys out there on the floor in a game against a terrible Cavaliers team. We just can't say it enough. You had 29 turnovers in blowing a lead and falling apart the last time you saw the Raptors. Now, again, lose by 2 to the Raptors, beat the Raptors by 3. I don't care.
Right.
I do care about 29 turnovers.
Yes.
So how much does that need to be cleaned up in this last game, regardless of who's on the floor.
A ton. I think that's something that coaches pay attention to. Those are the things that lose you basketball games: turnovers and offensive rebounds. As I just vividly laid out. But it is something that needs to happen, because at the end of the day, like I always talk about continuity and how much that matters in the NBA. And a reason that it does matter in the NBA is because you see in that game, going back to the last game that they played against the Cavs, where Derek White gets a defensive rebound. He has Josh Minot running out, and he sails it out of bounds because he doesn't know how Josh is running and how he's getting to the basket. Is he trying to get to the corner? Does he, bend it towards the rim? Those are the things you figure out as you play with guys. So it is an important thing as they, continue to have these mismatched lineups and know that their roles are going to change from night to night to night, and who they're going to play with consistently from night to night to night. You need to see them getting better ever so slightly. I'm not saying that I need to see them at 10, you know what I mean, in tomorrow night's game. But if I could see them at 17, 19, still, kind of a lot of turnovers for an NBA team in the NBA game. But if they're starting to trend downwards, then I'm more positive that as we get closer and closer to Jason Tatum's return, the team is better at taking care of the ball. That's what I would like to see.
Maybe a better question for you for when we do this again on Thursday, because we have the one game left.
Yeah.
But after these three, is there one prevailing takeaway you've had from the preseason, from what we've seen versus what you thought it would look like going in with the unknowns on this roster?
I think the prevailing takeaway that I have for this team is that the front court offensively is better than what I thought it would be. Defensively, probably just as bad as I thought it would be. But seeing Luka Garza go in there and fight for offensive rebounds, albeit against trash competition.
Sure.
Seeing him being able to do that and be a little bit more physical, I thought he was going to track more as a shooting big once he came into the NBA, because that was a big part of what he did at Iowa. And obviously his inside game was a big part of that, but the NBA kind of shied away from that. For him to be able to do those things in the NBA game has been, a breath of fresh air. Seeing Boucher kind of starting to figure it out offensively and taking steps forward every single game and getting more comfortable has made me feel a little bit better. And then obviously seeing the guys who are not bigs, but Minot coming in and playing his role and fitting in with this team, it makes you feel a little bit better about what they can do for you offensively. Defensively is where the deficiencies come for that group. But I think as, once again, the season continues to track, they will be a little bit better than that. Not very great, as we all expected.
Nest Nation, we're everywhere, right? So I can only imagine this G League group of Cleveland Cavaliers sitting in the locker room watching on the Fast Channel going, how many strays am I going to catch during this show? You kidding me?
Yeah, man.
Goodness gracious.
Sorry, Craig Porter. You have to get
beat the
thrown
heck
in
out
there
of us on the court, and now you're just killing us in the media. What's that all about? We're going to step aside here on Hold My Banner. When we come back, I don't know if you know this, but this time of year, you get the annual NBA General Managers Survey, where it evaluates what the GMs believe. Who's going to win the title? Who's made the most improvement in the offseason? Who's the best player, the rookie of the year, top defender, you name it. We're going to address some of those answers, give you some of our opinions when we come on back. What's up, Nest Nation? This is Hold My Banner again with Ountae. I am Adam, and the NBA General Managers have completed, it's been released, their annual survey. This is the, 24th annual General Managers Survey with 49 questions. We're certainly not going to react to all of them, but there were some interesting ones in there that over the course of the rest of the show, another 20-plus minutes, we're going to take a look at what we have here because, I think there are some things that do not come as a shock, right? Like NBA GMs believe the Thunder are overwhelming favorites to repeat as champions.
Yeah.
Nikola Jokic, their pick for MVP. He's already got 3 of those. Rookie of the year. Come on. Cooper Flagg, obviously. Right. Best defender, at least as long as he's healthy. Victor Wembanyama.
Yep.
Kevin Durant. This will not surprise anybody. Deemed the offseason acquisition who's going to make the biggest impact.
Yep.
Going from Phoenix to Houston, obviously. I did think it was kind of funny. I was looking, the very first thing, predictions, right? who's going to win the title, as mentioned. Overwhelmingly, OKC, 63% first place, 87% first place votes just to win the West.
Right.
Never mind, obviously, winning the title, which we'll get there. But in the East, shapes up about how you would think, Ountae. In terms of the first place votes, 63% went to Cleveland, 30% New York, 7% Orlando, the only other team that got first place votes. In terms of total percentage, those three teams, 35, 31, 20 respectively.
Yep.
3% of fourth place votes? This is like, what's your batting average on a Wednesday in the rain? 3% of fourth place votes? Your Boston Celtics.
Oh, man.
Some people out there still, so you're saying there's a chance.
You're saying there's a chance. I wouldn't put that much stock into it. I would love it. I would love to see it.
For perspective, by the way, last year, 97% picked Boston to win the East.
Travis and I got a parade. I would love for you, Travis, and I to get a parade together here in Boston. That would be amazing.
Yeah,
so,
amen.
Well, I would love to see it. I'm not saying that I don't think I'm going to see it. I'm just going to put that out there.
So let's get into here one of the first ones that jumped out, and that's if you're starting a franchise today and could sign any player in the NBA, who would it be? Victor Wembanyama running away. The Spurs youngster, also known as Luke Cornett's teammate. 83% for the Spurs, followed by the reigning MVP and champion, SGA, 13%. Then Jokic, Denver, 3%. Last year it was Wemby, 77%. So with the Spurs bit improved, obviously he continues to take strides. Social media videos out there, highlights in preseason, he's looking like Shaq, the way he's moving around out there, crashing the rim. Up a tick, 77% to 83%. Do you agree with it, though?
I don't. I personally don't. If I was starting,
who are you taking?
I'm going with a young guy that I've seen win. I call him the Grim Reaper because he knocks out every single GOAT that you have. LeBron, Luka, no problem. Steph Curry, no problem. Kevin Durant and Devin Booker, no problem. Jokic, no problem. Give me Anthony Edwards. If I'm starting a franchise, I need a guy who's a dog.
He's a dog.
We know that he's up. Everyone's going to put him at least, he's in your top 10 NBA players, or at least a top 10 MVP chance NBA player in everybody's opinion. And if it's not, then you're wrong. And then 2, he wins. He's gotten his team to the Western Conference Finals back-to-back years. Oh, I got Cat this year. Okay, we're going to Western Conference Finals. Oh, I got Julius Randle a week before the season. Oh, we're going to Western Conference Finals. Oh, I have an awkward fit with Rudy Gobert on our team. Oh, I'm going to Western Conference Finals. Oh, I got old Mike Conley on my team. Oh, I'm still going to Western Conference Finals. It's him. He's taking you there. So I'm rocking with him. Wemby, love him. Projection. We got to see it. Shea, great team around him. I know, I don't care who you put out there with Anthony Edwards, he's going to help you win. And that's why I would personally start with him.
Yeah, I mean, Shea is great, obviously. Too old for this question.
Right.
He's not old. He's 27 years old. But, again, we're thinking about, like, if you're saying, okay, you got a really nice roster that, you want to contend for a window of 6 years or something like that. Then I'm absolutely going to look at a guy like SGA. He's just entering his prime years, proven winner, just did it, all of it. If you're saying, I'm going to surround you with a great roster, and you got to go out and win this year, I'm probably taking Jokic, actually. I still love Jokic. I think he's still the best player in the NBA.
I can see that.
I still think he's the best player in the NBA. But if we're talking about start your franchise. From scratch.
With nothing else.
60
overalls like it's 2K.
Yeah. I mean, it's chalk, man. I'm going with Wemby, too.
All right.
He's 21 years old.
Respect.
And you said, you got to show it to me more.
Health?
The health is a little concerning for any dude that size to begin with.
Yes.
Absolutely. And Edwards is, like you said, he's knocked out a lot of good dudes. He's gone on long playoff runs. Problem is they get to a certain point, and whether it's him kind of disappearing
a little
or
bit.
A lack of something around him or coaching or any combination of things, he hasn't been able to get over the hump. Now, obviously, Wemby is not even, he's at the foot of the mountain.
Right.
He's
he
not
hasn't even
close.
gotten to the playoffs yet.
He's not even close.
Right.
But, God, he is an obscene talent, man.
Yeah.
He is absolutely
You're
absurd.
right. I can't hate on it.
All right, which team made the best overall moves this offseason? Believe it or not, if you look down real quick, the Boston Celtics are on the list at 3%.
Who's these writers? Who's this GM?
They're on the list.
Who's this GM choosing the Boston Celtics? Brad?
Did Brad Stevens vote for himself? I don't think that's allowed,
that's
right?
Not allowed.
That's not allowed.
It's not allowed.
Did Brad Stevens call in favor? All right, Danny, listen.
Danny, right.
You vote for me. I'll vote for you. The Atlanta Hawks, who acquired Kristaps Porzingis, among other moves,
Yes.
at the top of the league here, 53%, basically double the next best team at the Houston Rockets, who really did remodel what they've got going on there under Ime Udoka at 27%. Then you have Denver, championship window still open there, 10%. Do you agree with the Hawks?
I like the Hawks. I would probably put them as my second best team this offseason, but I personally love to see the Denver Nuggets get a little bit more respect on this list. Seeing them third on this list is just a little disrupt for me because, once again, maybe I'm just too much of a fan of it, but continuity matters. Them going and getting Bruce Brown and bringing him back and seeing what he did to help them win the championship in, what was that, 23 that they won, right?
Yep.
That was beautiful. Adding Tim Hardaway Jr., getting another shooter, and the scoring deficiencies that this team had throughout the playoffs was a huge add for them. And then going and finally getting Jokic, a backup big who can actually play real minutes because he should be a starter in this league, and getting Jonas Valanciunas to back up the anchor for that team is a huge get for them. So I love seeing that. I love seeing them bring Adelman back, officially giving him a contract. We saw how that worked wonders for the Boston Celtics, having an interim head coach turned full-time head coach, and how that won them an NBA championship. Yep. So I love what the Denver Nuggets did this year, and I would give them the slight nudge over the Atlanta Hawks.
All right, so I am not going to go with the chalk, but I'm going to go with some chalk.
Houston Rockets.
I'm going to take the Houston Rockets here. I think Atlanta is still, I say this in a very relative sense, I think Atlanta's still going to stink. And what I mean by that is, like, yeah, they'll be top 4 or 5 in the Eastern Conference.
Yes.
Maybe they win a round in the playoffs, but they're not going anywhere. They're not going to win a title. They don't have the pieces. They don't have the parts that make sense together.
Yes.
You know, Porzingis isn't going to be reliable at that point in time in terms of staying on the floor.
Yes.
Trae Young, I don't believe, is a winner. I think he's just one of those guys that he's going to put up stats in the regular season, but he's not ultimately in the playoffs.
A lot of people would agree with you.
So I'm looking at Houston, and I know you and I weren't doing this show together last year, but if we had been, I would have been screaming just to, you know what, let's compare the two teams. All throughout last year, I was calling the Houston Rockets the Atlanta Hawks, meaning they're going to win 60 games in the regular season, and then the playoffs are going to start, and they're going to be dog doo-doo.
Yeah, you were walking there with me. I can tell you, all the Hold My Banner fans that we still have around from last year will tell you that I've been lockstep with that take. So go ahead.
Yeah, too young, no superstar. Even if you love Ime as a coach, that's fine. Like, good leader of men, motivator, all this stuff, as voted upon, by the way, by the general managers. But just, he didn't have the pieces. He did not have the pieces. So there was no way that team was going to make a run, short of guys on the other side getting hurt. It just wasn't going to happen. What they went out and did here this offseason, now, in terms, you re-signed Steven Adams, Aaron Holiday, Jeff Green, Jabari Smith Jr., he gets an extension, Jason Tate, Fred VanVleet. Now, VanVleet, and this is no fault of anybody involved, like, he got hurt. That sucks. But we're not judging them on what they're ultimately going to do this year.
Right.
We're judging them based on the offseason moves. And it's nobody's fault that Fred VanVleet got hurt. So we're removing that. Guys who are gone, Dylan Brooks, Jalen Green, that's notable, obviously. Cam Whitmore, I guess. But your additions, Kevin Durant. All right, I know he's getting older, but he's still playing like a dog. Dude is still fully capable of being a top 5 player in this league, your superstar. Around that, you have Clint Capella, continues to add more size. And you've already got some size, but now you're getting more size. And a guy that every once in a while can pop off offensively, but more so block shots, get rebounds, fill a role that is vital to this team, whether that's starting or coming off the bench. And then Dorian Finney-Smith as just a role player, depth guy. I think they really did a great job in rounding out the roster to where before, I was laughing at the Vegas odds. Say, how is Houston anywhere near the top of this list? This team stinks in terms of actually winning a championship. Now I will look at Houston as a legitimate contender.
Fair. I think everything that you said is fair. I don't have any issues with any of that. I totally agree. I was with you. I was harping on. I wanted them to make the KD trade at the trade deadline last year. Like, I knew that this team needed that for surefire scorer. They needed all that firepower. They just didn't get it, and they ran out of gas because of it. So I think they did have a fantastic offseason. I would say, though, I will be remiss that I didn't say Cam Johnson's name when I was talking about the Denver Nuggets. Obviously, the biggest move that they made. How could I forget that?
Well, that was addition by subtraction, too.
Yeah.
Get rid of Michael Porter Jr.
Exactly. But yeah, when we come back, I want to do rapid fire, finish up some of the questions that we did.
You don't think we have time to hit 49 of these?
No.
Because we just did 2?
When we come back on Home My Banner, we'll do a little rapid fire session to finish up the NBA GM survey. That was part 1. Part 2 after this break.
All right, we're talking about the annual NBA GM survey, and we've gotten through some of these questions. We need to speed it up and kind of rapid fire some of these. Best coach in the NBA, and in a landslide, Eric Spoelstra of the Miami Heat, 52%. Mark Daigneault, the local kid out of Leominster, OKC, the defending champ, 34%. No votes at all for Joe Mazzulla, by the way. I just want to mention that. Spoelstra, I mean, dude, win something.
It's been a while.
37 wins last year. Best coach in the NBA?
Yeah. I think you got to give the respect to Mark Daigneault.
Yeah.
Maybe I'm giving a little mass push here for him.
Sure.
Mass native. But, I mean, what he did with that team when they lost both of their bigs last season and continued to roll, that was exciting for me to see. So I'm giving him the nod right now.
All right, let's go most fun team to watch. You're a league pass guy. Who isn't if you love the NBA? Denver Nuggets, 27%. Tied for the top with OKC. A couple of really good teams, we know that. The Pacers, that's bananas that Indiana is at 20% without Tyrese Halliburton. This team is not going to be good this year at all. I can't even see them falling into the fun watch category. Golden State, 7% if you love threes. Minnesota Timberwolves, also 7%. Again, no shock. Boston Celtics this year, despite what we may think are not on this list. Who to you, this list or otherwise, top of the list for most fun to watch?
I'm projecting, and I want to guess what I think I'm going to see.
Yeah.
I need to see the San Antonio Spurs. I mean, we got to all watch Wemby.
Hell
I
yeah.
watched him the other night get a put-back dunk on a free throw block out, and he was on the box. Who does that? I've never seen that in my 28 years of watching basketball. I have never, ever seen that, Adam. So I got to watch the Spurs.
Look, in this era of technology, you're going to tell me I can watch potentially a generational player in Victor Wembanyama every single night? Yeah, I would like to tune in for that. Which team is going to have the league's most efficient offense this season? Cleveland Cavaliers at 40%. Most voted on. OKC 30, Denver 20. Boston Celtics last year were top of the heap at 53%. Is Cleveland going to have the most efficient offense in the NBA?
No, I think people are going to start to figure him out a little bit. Having Atkinson there, I think he is a really good offensive coach, and he does have a lot of great sets. I think it's going back to players rule this league. Jokic, he is going to set up the guys. You're going to have Cam Johnson out there who can do a little bit more on the offensive end than MPJ can. I just told you about all the list of guys that are on their team that they've added to help their offensive firepower. I think this team will be the most efficient team in the league because now Jokic probably has his best offensive package around him that he's ever had in his career.
As far as the most versatile player in the NBA, we've been talking about this guy a little bit already. He is tied for the top with Giannis Antetokounmpo. Of course, that is Wemby, 30%. Then you have LeBron James, 7%, even still at 47 years old. Evan Mobley at 7%, so is Jaylen Williams. Plenty of other guys receiving votes, including Jason Tatum. He got votes.
Yeah.
Should he get more than votes? Should he get real attention?
Hey, Greg, can you show this on the screen for us real quick? This is my guy.
Oh, my goodness. He's dunking again.
5 months after surgery.
He's dunking again.
He's dunking. This is the most versatile player in the league. Did he pass away? I don't think so. He's still here. It's Jason Tatum every time, dog. Of course he's the most versatile player in the league. And then after that, I would give the nod to Jaylen Williams, who does a lot of great things on both sides of the floor. I can see both of those guys in any situation. there's some situations handling the ball, playing point guard. I can't see Wemby in. I can see those guys guarding 1 through 5, handling the ball, scoring, facility, whatever you need. They got it. So I'm giving the nod to Jason.
Yeah, I mean, let's see Wemby bringing the ball up the floor more regularly. Let's see him playing the role of facilitator, dishing out dimes on the regular.
Yes.
I can't believe Jason Tatum is dunking.
That's insane.
5 months off of that
That's
surgery. Yeah, it's a standing dunk. Next video is going to be a tomahawk or a windmill or something like that. He's coming back. It's not going to be Halloween or Thanksgiving, but
October 22nd. No, I'm just playing.
New Year's Day on the calendar, maybe? All right, real quick. What rule regarding play schedule, draft, lottery, playoff format, roster construction, whatever it may be, needs to change? We could do a whole show on this question right here, obviously. And number one at 26%, roster construction. Apron rules, too harsh. Add a cap discount for your own drafted players, please. Allow trading partial salaries. Make all minimum contracts the same. There's a lot of stuff, and obviously draft schedule, game flow, playoff format, draft system, higher penalties to circumvent the cap, all these things. You can see it on your screen. They're all on the list here. I think the reason, far and away, why this one is number one is because everyone just watched what the Boston Celtics had to go through this offseason.
Right.
Tearing down a contender just in terms of shedding salary and getting under that second apron and thinking about even maybe getting under the first apron and avoiding all of these future penalties and everything, even though the Tatum injury kind of, I don't know, I guess softened the blow. I think teams looked at this and said, holy crap.
Right.
This is going to be us soon.
And then they saw the Thunder draft all of their guys, make one trade, which, at the time, people thought the Clippers were winning the trade. You know, dudes couldn't even say SGA's name.
No.
So seeing that and then seeing how they spent this offseason and locking up their guys and all of us sitting here going, well, that's great. They'll have that for another 2 years before they eventually have to get rid of Chad or Jalen Williams or one of those guys. So, seeing that the Celtics rise and fall, and then seeing that the Thunder are on their way after years and years of climbing, and then eventually the crash course is coming, people are nervous about that. It was also just interesting to see how the NBA GMs are thinking about
what they're worried about or thinking about or
100%.
fixating on. Can I just tell you, by the way, there's a part of me, they're not listening, it's just you and I.
Okay.
There's a part of me that watched SGA play as well as he has in OKC that completely blacked out the Clippers era. It's like it never even happened.
Right.
He was drafted by Oklahoma City. For Ountae Campbell, I am Adam Kaufman. For Toby, for Greg, for everybody, for you out there, we thank you. We'll talk to you again Thursday.
Deuces.